Hey, this is going to be the best pack one pick ones for drafting Edge of Eternities. It's a strong set, but maybe not so much a strong limited set. There's a couple mechanics in here. I think mostly landers and spacecraft that have are definitely well supported, but not really in a way that makes me happy to draft with them. And then there's also like a really high power level in this set. There's some commons that should be uncommons, there's uncommons that should be rares, and then there's rares that really shouldn't exist in a draft setting. But I know other people are really benefiting this in standard and modern, so I guess it's not all for nothing. At least they're enjoying themselves from this. Now, going to the color balance, there is a little bit of a tilt towards green. It's definitely the most picked color. By contrast, red is the least picked color. But red is still putting up pretty good stats, so I'm not afraid to draft red or anything. I do want to talk about black is definitely being overdrafted. I think people are first picking some of these one for one removal spells, and it's just not that important to start out with. There's a lot of removal in the set, and you don't really need to be prioritizing it that much. The other thing to talk about is the multicolor cards are doing surprisingly well as first picks, and going deeper into the data, it seems that's mostly being carried by the blue green cards and white black cards that are very strong. It's a very good color archetype. So if you want to try to force those off of seeing like a card in the first pack, I would say go for it. They're pretty strong. The first card on the top 10 list is Lumen Class Frigate. It's one in a white for a artifact spacecraft, and it starts with no abilities other than station. Once you get up to 2 counters, it gets the ability other creatures you control get +1/+1. And when you get to 12 counters, and 12 counters is kind of a lot, you get Flying Lifelink 3/5 body. So you're going to get a 3/5 Flying Lifelinker for 2 mana as long as you have some other creatures. And I've talked about spacecraft are kind of win more, and this is one of the winningest morist cards. If you don't have any creatures, it is just a paperweight. If you do have a few, then you're going to get up to 3/5 lifelinker pretty quickly. If you have a lot of creatures, you're going to instantly have buff the rest of your team, 3/5 flying lifelink, and any deck that cares about stats is going to like this. And in Edge of Eternity, that's all of the white decks. Obviously, it's going to be at its best with token makers like Luminary, but it's also great like in this deck with black cards like Grav Pack Monoists. The flyer likes the stats and it dies into a token that's going to get buffed up too. And it's also got a very natural pairing with a green white creature deck that isn't doing anything fancy and just wants to build up stats and throw them at the opponent's face. Number 9 is Biomechan Engineer. It's green and a blue for a 2/2 Insect Artificer. When it enters, you make a lander token, and it's also got the ability to pay 8 mana to draw 2 cards and create a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. So I'm not usually that high on taking the multicolor signpost on commons, but Engi's got a couple extra bonuses. First off, he's in the best performing color pair, and that pair is still underdrafted because apparently it's a secret that blue green is good still. Secondly, he's just good on his own, which is make it. He's a lot different than the other signposts that are always nagging you to be like, "Oh, play me with artifacts, play me with +1/+1 counters." Biomechan is always just going to be a cheap 2 for 1. That's still a great draw in the late game. And though he is a multicolor card, you're still pretty open. You can go into like these multicolor soup decks where you just play every bomb that you can find. And he's kind of independent enough that you can just kind of fit him into meme decks sometimes. Like I found this one trophy run that's like all in the double spell mechanic. And NG doesn't interfere with that or like make you build around it or anything. Just put an NG, put a couple expensive cards in there. You can do whatever you want and it's still going to be pretty good. It's a good flexible card to start out. The number 8 best pack one pick one is Harmonious Growth Strider, our favorite long neck. It's 3 green for a star creature. It's got ward 2, and its power and toughness are going to be equal to the number of lands that you control. So it took me a while to figure out why this dinosaur is good. It's not a dinosaur, it's a beast. So there's two things wrong here, I guess. It shouldn't be a beast, and it also probably shouldn't be good, but there are a lot of combos in the set that make this a little bit better than it looks. First of all, there's a couple green commons, Drix Fate Maker, which is very easy to pick up, and then there's Biosynthetic Burst, which is also defined. You can also find at the bottom of the packs pretty often. Both of these commons give trample, and a double-digit trampler is pretty good at just ruining someone's life. The other obvious combo in this set is just the mechanic that cares about power. It's station. You get to play it with the spaceships. And, I expect my 5 drops to have an enter the battlefield effect, so they're not completely useless if they get blown out. But Harmonious Setter does have a enter effect because he comes down and instantly gets your kill ship online or instantly gets whatever spacecraft you have. You're going to add a ton of counters on it. So that's the mystery of why it's good. That's solved. Why it's not a dinosaur, I can't really tell you about that one. Number 7 is the top scoring spaceship. It's Larval Scout Lander. It's 2 and a green for a artifact spacecraft, and this one does have an ability when it enters. You may sacrifice a land or a lander. If you do, you search your library for 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. And then it's also got, if you get stationed up to 7 counters, it's going to be a 3/3 flyer, which isn't that big, but a 3/3 flyer for free ain't actually that bad. This is the problem with the set. Like the things are so big that it makes me say things like a 3/3 flyer isn't really that big, but in any other format, that's a must kill removal magnet. Okay, so about Scoutlander, there is a meme deck in this format, and it uses the set's proxy for the USS Enterprise. It's called Survey Mechan, and that deck is the real deal, but it doesn't work without its dark matter fuel or whatever fuel they use in Star Trek. I think it's dilithium something. Anyways, the deck is really fun to play. You can run any bomb that you find. You never have to cut like some of these pushed commons like Orbital Plunge, but the mana is a little bit shaky. So, Scoutlander makes your mana perfect, and you're going to have your Survey Mechan activate for 5 or 6 mana. I would definitely go for this build if you find a early Scoutlander. It is very powerful, and you should go for it. It's a lot of fun. Number 6 is going back to the big creatures. It's Anti-Causal Vestige. It's 6 mana for a 7/5 Eldrazi that's also got Warp 4, and the Warp matters a lot because its first ability is when this leaves the battlefield, you draw a card, and you can put a permanent into play tapped if the permanent has mana value less than the number of lands that you control. So I've got some friends that think this should be closer to the number 1 spot, and I also think it probably should be. The stats are held back for better or for worse. Vestige can go into any deck, so it's not really directing you towards those ramp decks that are much higher scoring. The cards that go into the ramp decks are higher scoring, but that's not much to be a big problem. I will say that if you care about getting on board, again, just any stat based deck is really going to like this green white deck. Vestige is perfect in. Or if you're in blue black control and just have a colorless 3-for-1 that's also a finisher, then that's probably good too. I would just recommend that if you are doing control, make sure you pick up some permanent based removal like Tractor Beam or Dubious Delicacy, like is in this deck, because then you have something that works better with Vestige. Number 5 is Xenomorph Imago. It's green blue for a 1/3 flying insect druid, and it's got landfall. Whenever a land enters, target creature gets base power toughness 3/3 for the turn, and if you control 6 or more lands, then instead that creature is going to become a base power and toughness 6/6 until the end of the turn. So it's kind of just going to be whacking people as a 3/3 flyer a lot of the time, and then upgrades into a 6/6 later on. Um, Also, you can just take whatever I said about Biomechan Engineer and double it for this card. You're going to be starting in the best color combination that's still being underdrafted. And again, this is a lot of pressure that starts on turn 2 and it gives an obscene amount of stats later. The bug accidentally makes the multicolor soup deck into an aggro deck if you get it on turn 2. And yeah, I know like this ability is kind of weird. It seems like kind of a combo card, but the only thing you actually need to make it work is lands. Do you have lands in your deck? Yes. Okay, then Xenomorph Imago is going to be good. Continuing on the train of cards that combo with lands is Glacier Godmaw. It's 5 green for a 6/6 Leviathan. It's got trample. When this creature enters, make a lander token. And then the big part at the end, it's got landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, creatures you control are going to get +1/+1 and get vigilance and get haste until the end of the turn, including this thing. So Glacier Godmaw is definitely like the final stage in the evolution tree for the Magic Swarm creatures. It is to draft what Crater Hoof Behemoth is to Commander. I don't think I can express it in any better way. Like I was talking about cards that are uncommon that really shouldn't be at uncommon. This is the main one. The main natural color combination that you want to play with this is red green, where you get to use like orbital plunges and land seekers to get up to 7 even faster, in addition to like the ramp you already get from green. I also kind of like it in this green black deck where you have 2 black uncommons that can recur it. You have Fell Graft Ship and Seed Ship Pretender. So then You're going to have Glacier Godmon number two and Glacier Godmon number three, Glacier Godmon the Returned, and you're going to have a lot more fun with that as well. So number three is when we stop messing around with cool uncommons. We're coming around to the mythic windmill slam bombs, and the first one we start with is Ouroboros. It's two green green for a 1/3 plant worm, and it's only got a single ability. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is this creature's power. So this is as good of a creature with one ability as it can get. Like even I think the Titans, like Grave Titan and Primeval Titan, they have two abilities at least. I don't really know why you would need example deck list for Ouroboros. I would say I guess it's best to pair with blue because you can find it more quickly, or you can go with like white and have more creature spam. But you can do whatever boring deck you want with this thing. You don't deserve help if you get an Ouroboros. Just go win. Number two is known to her friends as Ellie and to her phones as LG Acolyte. It's a 2 black 4/4 human cleric with lifelink. Whenever you have a creature hit the opponent, you get to draw a card and lose a life. And it's also got avoid ability. If something left this turn, or if you warped a card this turn, you make a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. So Ellie is one of these Christmas tree type cards where they kept hanging abilities on it until the tree, quite frankly, became completely broken. I mean, you can actually just remove one of these abilities; it would still be a very good card. So I'm mostly down on Black and Edge of Eternity because I think it's all removal and no late game. But Ellie is bobbing; she's bomby enough to solve that issue. I think white black is already a good color pair, and you can kind of fully embrace the all removal deck by adding Banishing Light and Focus Fire to black's already pretty heavy removal package, and then you're just triggering Void every turn. It's also a good pairing with red, which is underdrafted, and it's got this underappreciated card, Interceptor Mechan, so you can keep recurring Ellie a lot and keep grinding with Ellie all day long. The number one best card in the set is Quantum Riddler, and the riddle is who's got two wings and doesn't give a crap about reasonable power and toughnesses on a giant flyer. It's a 3 blue blue for a 4/6 flyer, and it's got the ability when this creature enters, draw a card. And if you have one or fewer cards in your hand, if you would draw a card, then you draw two cards instead. And it's also got Warp 1 in the blue. And this has got to be one of the best warp abilities because it's 2 mana to draw two cards. You're drawing one card from the top of your deck, and you're also drawing a 5 mana dragon to cast later, which will also draw you a card. So this card is obviously really, really dumb. You don't deserve help. Just like with Ellie, Quantum Riddler is the kind of bomb that the removal heavy black decks really want to finish off a game. So I'll go with blue black if you get a Riddler. It's also just good in the dedicated ramp decks where you can accelerate it out and have a giant flying beater a little bit, a couple turns earlier, and you're going to guarantee that you can cast it. And the ramp is going to give you make it easier to cast all the things that you're going to draw off of this thing. You get to empty out your hand and then draw so many more cards if you have a good enough ramp. Okay, finally, we've moved past the top 10. For the last thing I want to talk about, I didn't have any red cards to make the top 10, even though I think I showed plenty of red decks during this. If you're interested in what a good red start looks like, the four best ones are going to be the Spaceship Warmaker Gunship, our favorite tribal Kavu, a Possibility Technician, the obviously broken Dragon Nova Hellkite, and a very obnoxious turn 2 play in this format. It's the uncommon Terrapact Intimidator. Red is quite good. It is under drafted because I don't think there are a lot of cards that look like first picks, but these are the kind of cards that would signal you into starting up a red deck. All right, and thanks for watching. Thanks for making it to the end. It took a while to find all these deck lists, so if you enjoyed them, please let me know. Thanks.